What's up, you guys? I decided to go hiking today in this beautiful Sunday. A couple days ago I just turned 25 and it's been a time of reflection for sure. I feel like I'm processing a lot of the things that have happened to me in the past few years and unraveling the lessons that came with it. I've written down a lot of things that I think could be really useful to any young person that either relates with me because you're the same age and you're going through these things, or you're younger and you can learn through my mistakes, through my experiences. Definitely everything I'm going to talk about has so many stories, so many experiences behind them. I think my first 25 years have truly taught me so much thus far. It's nice to stop and really recognize how far you've come. Taking a day off like this is so necessary, and it's nice to just sit down and be a little bit proud of where you are in life. So let's go ahead and sit down and keep talking. Overall, your 20s can be such a chaotic time. It's definitely the defining decade for the majority of us. I feel like your early 20s, you're kind of just figuring things out as you go, but super excited for life overall. Reach maybe 22, 23, some people start getting a little bit worried about what they're gonna do with their lives, how they're gonna make use of their time, if they're doing what they want. It starts kind of hitting, it starts getting real. And then you get to where I am right now at 25. It doesn't necessarily change. I think we're all still just figuring it out. There's still so many changes. At 25, I definitely feel a little bit more stable in terms of my priorities, what I want out of life. I think that's a little bit more set. But things related to career and money, longer term, purpose-driven things, I think it's still a work in progress. And I think that's true for most people. You're not necessarily super happy with what you're doing, but you're doing it and just getting through it and trying to reorient yourself towards your desired goals. And it's all just part of the process. I'm convinced that the majority of late 20-somethings and probably even some 30-somethings too are still going through these things. You're no longer a beginner. I feel up until you're in your mid-20s, everything is kind of happening for the first time. It's just a bunch of firsts piled on top of each other. But when you're reaching your mid-20s, it's starting to repeat. Life can be so beautiful and happy some days, and it can be horrible and frustrating the next. But what I've just begun to realize more and more is that it just keeps happening. You just go to bed and you wake up again the next day. And although it can be daunting to recognize this, it's also kind of liberating knowing that you know your environment, you know who you are, or you're discovering who you are. And now it's just a matter of perfecting the art of doing you and doing what you want to do, getting good at things that you like to do. We get a day, we do what we can with it, and then we go to bed and we wake up the next day to do it again. I think something I'm really trying to focus on in this moment is to just really roll with the flow of these days, really experiment with what makes a day great, how to find the things that I enjoy, how to spend time developing myself, how to have a good social life, all of these things that are so essential. I'm beginning to realize that I have to piece it all together myself, that it's never gonna be pieced together for me. Life is just a constant test of consistency. In my early 20s, I was kind of just going wild, discovering new places, partying, just the world opened up, I felt like I was learning so much about people, about the world in general, and I was very excited. That excitement, I don't want to say it dies down because it doesn't. I'm still excited, and I'm sure you can still be super excited at 80 or 90. You get to a point where you're okay, I know this now, So it's now what do I do with this? I definitely have so much more to learn. I know very little, relative to everything I can know and everything I will probably know eventually about life. So take what I share with you with a grain of salt, but I think that there's some value in some of these lessons that I want to share with you. So here we go, some lessons from my early 20s. The first lesson is that comparing yourself or feeling at a disadvantage gets you nowhere. It's so easy to compare ourselves these days with social media, but comparing yourself is a trap. No two people are alike. No two people come from the same background. Whenever you compare yourself to other people that have it better than you or have something you want, you're claiming that you're in a disadvantage, that they have something that you don't. And although, of course, some people have some advantages over others, it's not fair to you to justify that the reason you don't have what you want is because you are currently at a disadvantage. Like, it is up to you to grow out of that situation. It is up to you to go after that. So comparing yourself to someone that more successful, that has achieved something that you want to achieve, isn't really going to help you in any way. It's kind of just making you feel bad. It's happened to me so often that in the past years, whenever I see someone young achieve something big, I look up their age, and it almost always makes me feel bad because it makes me think, man, why am I not achieving these things at this age if they are? You can't compare your standing with anyone else's because there's just a lot of factors that go into them. There's really no use in focusing on anyone that's not you. The next one is that you are the only person that you will always be with. Think about that again. You are the only person that you will always be with. If you really think about that, it makes you realize that it's so worth it to invest in having a good relationship with yourself. If you have a long life ahead of you and a lot of health, you have decades ahead of you. You wouldn't spend decades with someone that makes you feel bad, that puts you down, that creates excuses for why you can't achieve certain things. So why are you going to accept that from yourself? You have to realize that you are the only person that's going to be here until the day that you're no longer here. So it's really so important to be good with yourself, be friends with yourself, because you're the only person that you will always have. Another one that I've learned is that relationships take work. All kinds of relationships. Relationships are truly an investment. You have to keep nurturing them. You have to keep thinking about what the other person and what you want out of the relationship and communicating it. There's like a whole set of subtopics to go into with this. Just be patient with your relationships, the ones that you feel like are very worthy of your time. Realize that if you're struggling in any relationship you have, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a relationship you should have. It's just natural to struggle. Even healthy relationships have bad moments. Now, I'm not saying that you should have relationships with people that are bad for you. That's not it at all. It's more so about being patient with the relationships you know are worthy, because they don't come easily and they don't grow easily. It's really just up to you to tend to them. I love this next one, and it's that nature is your safe haven. I am currently, as you see, in it right now. I want to include this one because whenever I'm at my lowest, if I go to nature and just spend hours and hours there, I come back like a totally new person. It has this tendency to rejuvenate you, to give you like a burst of energy, to make you get out of your head, to make you realize that life is not up here, it's really out here. And of course our lives aren't in nature most of the time, but what I mean by that is that it reminds you that you are such a small thing in a large ecosystem. So whenever our problems get the best of us and you're going through this like never-ending cycle in your mind, just go to nature, because nature will truly provide such a great escape. It's the best escape that you can have. Your mind just eases, your thoughts and your problems are set to like a more realistic scale, and it's always just nice to breathe some fresh air and get some direct sunlight. And it doesn't have to be going to a mountain, it can literally just be going to your local park, or it can be going on a walk with a more like scenic route, or any hiking trail that's close to your house. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to get out a little more, because screens have a tendency to make us anxious and to just worry us. And if you're out in nature, you realize how insignificant a lot of things really are. And you start to see what things are truly significant in your life. I love this next one too, and it's to always have passion projects. This can look very different for everyone. We all know what our like hobbies or our favorite pastimes are. It can be sewing, having a soccer team, creating music, writing poems, making small films. Like, it can literally go anywhere. Like, YouTube is one of mine, for example. It just keeps you like motivated. Whenever you're working towards something, you feel so ready for the next thing. You have your groove on. You are really just moving. It's such a rewarding feeling. And a lot of inspirational and magical moments happen whenever you're working on these projects. Whenever, for example, I'm editing a video, I think of 3 other videos I can make. Or whenever I am listening to music and creating playlists, I think of genres that I want to explore more. So with anything that you're passionate about, if you like turn it into a project and you keep at it, it keeps you like alive, really. It gives you a little bit more purpose. It gives you something to wake up to and be motivated by. So I encourage everyone to have a little something extra that really like connects with you, with what you want to do, and with what you enjoy. Like, what do you do that makes you enjoy your time? And create a project around it. create a commitment to it. Do it every day at X hour, you know, like create a habit out of it. A good exercise to think about what you could do to create a project is to like visualize your dream life. Like, what are you doing in this dream life? In your free time, what activities or places are you going to? What are you doing with your day, essentially? Now think of all those things that I'll be doing in my ideal life. What can I do today? And do it. Create a project around it. And then you're starting to actually create that reality little by little. This next one really hits home for me, and it's that there's never a right time to do something. There never is. There's always an excuse or an obstacle. There's always something that's gonna distract us. There's always gonna be a problem. There's always gonna be another priority. With my YouTube channel, for example, it took me years to get to a point where I was down to actually start recording and posting and editing and all of these things, because there was always an excuse. I have to focus on finding a career. I have to have more disposable income for these things. I have to have more experiences to share. Like, no, just start. I know a lot of people say this, but you truly don't realize the value of this until you start doing it. If you're waiting to do something, there's never like an ideal time for it. You literally just have to stand up and start. Like, that's it. Just start. Next on my list is that there will always be bad days, and sometimes even bad weeks or bad months. There will be moments in your life when you're just not having it, when you're struggling a lot. We've all had them, and we all will continue to have them, because life is not perfect. Whenever we're going through a really tough time or a tough day, we don't really see beyond that. We don't realize that the day is gonna end, or the month is gonna end, and you're gonna be able to turn the page. It's really important to, in these moments where you really are not finding any motivation, where you're sad, where you're just frustrated with life, make time to just be in bed, be sitting down, being in nature. Take care of yourself. You don't have to be on your entire life. You can hit pause, connect with yourself, pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to what your body's telling you, and don't put yourself down because you had a bad day. It happens to everyone. Just realize that all of these things will pass. I mainly just want to stress the idea of being patient with yourself. All right, this next one's important. There is no place, thing, or person that will cure you or save you. You have to do it yourself. Of course, there's people in our lives that are gonna help us through things, that are gonna be there for us. However, in the long run, we have to stand up for ourselves. No thing or place or person will just magically make things all right. Like, it really is all within you, and you have to work for yourself to really take care of what you need to take care of. You cannot expect happiness after you reach a certain number in your bank account, or after you move to a certain city. Realize that whatever comes in our life will likely be because we create it for ourselves. This next one gets me excited. Journaling, music, and reading can work wonders for you. These three things, if you incorporate them into your life, have so much potential to raise your mood, get excited about life. I've been journaling for about 4 or 5 years now. I picked it up when I was in college, and I am so glad I did, because whenever my brain is just going through these cycles of endless thoughts, I jot them down. Whenever I have ideas, visualizations of my dream life, I jot them down. Whenever I want to remember something in my life, I jot it down. And honestly, just like having a notebook that you don't even necessarily will ever go back to, but just being able to put what's up here into like tangible reality is so beneficial in like more ways than one. So get to journaling if you haven't yet. Music, I think it's super self-explanatory. Music has a song for every emotion, every feeling. There's something out there that you can relate what you're feeling to. Like, it's just a really genuine mood booster. It can really get you in the zone. Like, there's so many different things that music does for you. It's really worth it to explore your connection with it and discover new artists, new genres, new songs, and realize in what moments of your day you can incorporate music to just make the day better for you. And reading, of course, is also super important. Whenever you leave college, you stop having a structured learning system in your life, and I think it's super important to commit yourself to being a lifelong learner, to never sit and be sedentary with what you know already, because the world and life is constantly evolving, and we have to learn how to evolve with it. And that involves just reading, keeping your mind active, keeping your imagination flowing, you know? Every book is a window into another world. It gives you lessons that that you don't have to live yourself, you can learn through it. These three things combined just have so much power to uplift any day you're having. Also, following the herd is such a disservice to yourself. You have to be true to you. Whenever you're doing things to satisfy others, whether it be a friend group or just like normal like societal pressures that we all face, you're not paying attention to yourself. You're kind of feeding this like averageness that really isn't doing anything for you, and no two people are alike. So I think it's such a waste to follow the herd when you have such a unique vision, such a unique perspective, and you have to find a way to share it with other people. Find people that share those interests. At the end of the day, you have to sit there with yourself. And if you're not doing something that's true to you, you're not going to be proud of the life you lead. We also have to just realize that whenever we're seeking to follow the herd, we're basically seeking validation from others. And I think it's super fundamental to know that you don't need validation from others. You first and foremost need validation from yourself. And then the others can follow. Other people will see that you respect and honor yourself to your truest form, and then they will try to join you as well. It doesn't have to be the other way around. This one is really relevant to today, and it's that you simply have to explore places, ideas, and connections. Now the first one, places. I think that whenever you travel, whether it be in your home state, in your country, or around the world, you learn about other people's way of life. You open up your mind to the possibilities of what life can really be like for you. So I think it's so important to discover new places, like this one, for example. Like me 5 years ago would have never thought that I'm in this like random mountain range in Spain, but here I am, you know? And I'm never gonna forget this moment. I'm never gonna forget reflecting here, you know? Like I develop connections with places so often, and I think it's something that I couldn't really do without, and I encourage everyone to do the same because it's such a beneficial like habit to develop. You also have to be able to explore ideas. If we all follow the ideas that were taught to us early on in life, and we never challenge them, and we never seek out other perspectives, we're not really activating our mind. It's almost like we just downloaded this like software and we never updated it. Life requires updates. If you want to keep moving, you have to evolve and you have to challenge your ideas. Like I think it's so important that we're always critical and skeptical about like ideas and points of view. Like we should never be so close-minded that we don't see past what's right here, you know, or what's right here rather. And explore connections. Try to make connections with people that you wouldn't expect to connect with. Reach out to someone that you're interested in getting to know better, but you feel like they're outside of your friend group. Really be brave and make connections with strangers, with people when you travel, with anyone that your heart desires, but definitely explore the connections that you can have with humans, because there are truly so many of us here and everyone has something to offer. And to never open up your circle to someone that is potentially like outside of your realm currently is just limiting to yourself. So explore connections. Alright, this one's short and sweet, and it's that if you worry about something, you're gonna suffer twice. Think about it. If I'm worrying about this like huge interview that I have in 2 months, I'm worrying right now, and then potentially I'll suffer in the interview as well. So like worrying about something is really just suffering twice, and it's truly within our best interest to try to minimize that as much as possible. It's getting cloudy on me, but I'm almost done. Alright, this next one's pretty interesting and something that I actually am still sort of working with, but I thought I'd share. And it has to do with the idea that we as humans may never fully be satisfied. Now, I have trouble saying that because, of course, I want to feel like I'm leading a satisfied life, but the point that I'm trying to get at is that we always are reaching for new and new goals, or our goals simply change. So right now you can be very focused on getting into like that Ivy League school, but as soon as you get in, that goal has been accomplished and it kind of just erases, and now your mind opens up to a new goal, and then you set the new goal, and then you keep moving. I just want to acknowledge that it's human nature to not necessarily like recognize how many steps we've already taken. Like right now in this moment, I've taken so many steps that have brought me to this point of view, to this perspective. Also, like right now, I'm like striving for this next thing that I really want to happen, but it's not like my life will begin whenever that happens. You know, my life is ongoing, and that's just another like little step that I'm gonna take eventually. But just realize that we always want more, and our priorities change really quickly. So just be okay with what you have right now. Try to seek satisfaction with what you have, but don't try to be carried away by the fact that you want something that you don't have yet. Enjoy what you have while also working on something else. Alright, so I just want to wrap up this video with one last one that is very, very, very important to me, and it's that life is today. I've had this as like a sort of a motto for myself for a while now. I started when I was in college because I wanted to like really focus on the present and enjoy myself in the present and not get too carried away with the future. And I truly think that that's something that will always be true. Life was not yesterday and is not tomorrow. Like, life is happening right now. We, like, as humans have this tendency to think of things like in a timeline, when in reality life just exists. Like, it's just ongoing. It's important to live for today, to realize what it is that will make you so happy today. Like, after this video, what could you do that would make you so happy? Go ahead and do it. Live for the moment. Try to build a day that you're proud of. Build a day that raises your energy. Like, find a way to be content with yourself at the end of every day, because there's always little things that we can do to make our days better and to feel like our day was worth it, you know? So live for today, enjoy today, because life is today. So that was my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Honestly, I loved sharing these things with you. This past week was really important for me because it's kind of like a benchmark in my life, and I wanted to bring the good out of it, kind of extract those lessons, reflect on them, so that I can like move forward with a positive attitude and just be content with where I've gotten so far, knowing that I will likely be going farther and farther as I go. So it was just a nice time to reflect. I hope you enjoyed my little insights. I know they're not perfect. Feel free to share any thoughts on the things I talked about, or any other lessons that you want to share with the world in my comment section. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe, and follow me on socials if you want to keep up with me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, life is today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.